let's review this bike rack. Yeah? Hey, vegan cyclists, we're talking about the Saris 4 bike rack. I think it's called the Freedom Rack. America. Freedom Rack. So this is a Hitch rack, super awesome. I've been using it for a couple months, 6 months, something like that. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about pros and cons, okay? So we're gonna do, it's gonna be a review, but not like a 5-star review, because I think racks are very subjective to what you need it for your lifestyle. So I can give you the rating on this for me personally, but it's probably not gonna be your same experience if, say, you only have one bike and you have a little Honda Accord, right? So I'm gonna give you the pros and cons of this Saris hitch mounted 4 bike awesome rack. Let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, I had a $40 bike rack from Walmart. I used to have it where it just kind of hung on the back of like a car trunk. One time I was going to a race and the bike actually fell off and the straps came undone, and it was just like my bike was dangling. I almost lost my bike. And so after losing confidence in that $40 rack, which I understand it's a $40 rack, but I just shoved my bikes into the back of my Jeep and destroyed the interior. And so when we got the new Jeep, my wife was like, not a single bike nor wheel will go inside our new Jeep. I was like, oh, okay, we better get a rack. So we went with the hitch mounted deal from Saris, which is phenomenal. We went with the 4 rack because I have a TT bike, I have a mountain bike, I have a road bike, and my son has a bike. So if we, for whatever reason, like we're going out of town and I've got my mountain bike and my road bike and his road bike and his mountain bike, 4 bikes on this rack. Sweet. All right, so let's get into the pros and cons. Pro, you can fit 4 bikes very easily. This is, you don't need padding between them, shoving like pillows or blankets. There's been other racks that I've used where we're trying to like shove stuff in between the bikes to not let them clang together. 4 bikes on this rack is no problem whatsoever. It's super easy. Another pro, installation of those bikes, taking on and off the bikes from the rack couldn't be any easier. You just undo the ratchet, pull the bike off, and that's that. There's literally no other way that you can make it any easier, because you don't have to take off any wheels, you don't have to loop anything, you don't have to worry about your top tube, because that's the other thing, right, is on some of the other racks, and I know Saris makes one that is different where it wraps around the top tube, but I've always heard that with carbon bikes, you don't want to strap your bike from the top tube. I don't know why that is. It just said don't do that with carbon. So this is not putting any weird pressure points. Pro, it fits many different sized bikes. I have a 29er mountain bike. I have my road bike. I have my son's 20-inch road bike and his 20-inch mountain bike, right? And so that's like a pretty wide range of what it fits, you know? Like that's pretty cool. And so the thing is, at the bottom like rails at where the wheels sit into the little slots, you can adjust those. So depending on how long or short your bike is, you're pretty much dialed. Con, it sticks really far out from the back of your Jeep. I have destroyed a pot, a planter with a pot at my neighbor's house because I backed into her driveway and I just wasn't used to it, and took out her pot and plant and you know, drove off quickly without saying anything. But so that is like, if you're in a really tight confined area, maybe like deep in the city or that sort of thing, this adds like 6 feet to the back of your car. So if like you're, you know, in the city where the parking spaces are really tight, I don't know, man. I don't know if this would fit in like a traditional parking spot, if you were like front to rear type thing. So that's definitely something to think about, is how long it makes your vehicle. Probably the biggest con for this mount is that you can't open up the trunk. I don't know why my Jeep window doesn't open up. A lot of SUVs, the back window will actually pop up. Mine does not. You know what I mean? It's only when there is a bike on the very front rack or the one closest to the rear. So like if you took off that one, I mean, you could still have 3 bikes on there and still lift up. Going grocery shopping or whatever when you're on a trip, accessing the back that way, it's a little difficult. And again, they have other ones, you know what I mean? So again, this is why this is a pro and con, because your life might be, your wants might be tailored differently. For me, this isn't an issue. I'd rather have this and just take a bike off or whatever, but I have loaded up the whole thing with the top up. And then I'm just like, ah, man. So then I got to take at least the back bikes off and then close the tailgate. So, you know, that's a thing. Pro, this thing is durable, dude. I have smashed down some dirt roads. I live in an area where there's a lot of dirt roads, and man, I'm never having to worry about the bikes because the way that the rack goes, where you're actually, it's all the pressures on the wheels, that's like the natural feel of a bike, right? So if you had the bike on in a different way and you were jamming down some road, you're putting a lot of stress into weird parts of the bike that may not really want that stress. So like going over speed bumps or down a dirt road or going fast or whatever, I know that this is going to be sound. This is going to be really good. So that's a huge pro. The other pro is that it's on the back of the freaking Jeep. I know someone watching this has done this. When you're on top, if you're doing like a roof rack where the bikes are on top of the roof, you've plowed into a garage and destroyed your bike. My a buddy that I ride with waxed his Specialized tarmac, just took it off, dude, destroyed it. I know I, after a long race, would totally forget that my bike was on top of the car and just plow into a tree or something like that. And so for me, the pro is that this is on the back, which kind of then again converts into the con, which it's on the back because it's so long. So if you gotta just know, what do you want? What do you want from it? For me, I don't want the bikes on top of the car, I want them on the back of the car. A pro for this is how easy it is to take everything off. Like taking the bikes off, taking the rack completely off. I'll do this often. My wife wants to go down and get a car wash, which kind of takes me into a con. A con is that you cannot go through a car wash with this bike rack on. That is a con. The pro is that it's pretty easy to take the whole rack off. I've got a key that sits in the car and it locks, like the hitch locks. So I unlock that, I pull the rack off, and then I just set it in my garage. And so the installation of the rack and uninstallation of the rack from the Jeep is really, really easy. Super easy. And so the con of not being able to go through the car wash, it's not that bad. I mean, it's not that huge, but I like that I can take it off if I wanted to. You know what I mean? All right, so my overall thoughts on this is that it's an amazing, amazing rack. Now it is expensive. I went with the 4. You can go 2, and that's less expensive. The 4 for me is the ticket, but it's pricey, man. It's not cheap. And so when I was looking for my first bike rack, I was at Walmart and saw it's $40. I was like, yes, this is what I want. $40. And it got the job done for the most part, but dude, all the time I was like so worried about it. It was like plastic everywhere. It just, it was not good, and I almost lost my road bike from it. So, you know, if you're putting a $5,000 bike on a $40 bike rack, probably not the way to go. That's what I was doing. Saris has cheaper ones. I think they go all the way down to like $100. This one's like $650. So it's not cheap. But I'm gonna have this thing forever, dude. So look, if you're looking into getting a rack, I really like the hitch mounted style on the back. Super easy. I really like this one from Saris. But there's other ones you can get as well. Kind of depends on what you want. Again, that's what I said. Like, our needs are different. But anyway, that's my rack. I love it. And as always, vegan cyclist, yeah.